Hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Fill Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals and we invite cool people on to help us. And that's why I'm really excited Brandon Leibowitz is with us today. Brandon runs and operates SEO Optimizers. So he's had that since 2007. And they're a digital marketing company, if you cannot guess from their name, that focuses on helping small and medium-sized businesses get more online traffic, which of course, if you do it right, converts into clients, sales, leads, and a happy life, right? Brandon, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on today.
So SEO is kind of a thing that I think a lot of people don't really understand, but you got into it really early. How did you find out about it?
I didn't really know about it until after I graduated from college. The first job I got, they wanted me to help out with digital marketing, doing SEO, social media, helping out like paid ads and all these other things back in 2007. And I didn't really know much about it. They said, don't worry, you don't know much about it either. We're going to take you to classes and workshops and learn alongside with you. And after doing that for a few months, just realized everyone's probably going to have a website in the future. There's a lot of different ways to get traffic, which all the different things I mentioned work, but SEO, search engine optimization, is just a free way to get traffic. So I thought, why not focus on getting free traffic versus paying Google or these other platforms, which it works, but the ads are just very expensive.
Yeah. And I think if you're not doing other stuff right, then the ads are still not a good investment.
Yeah, no, because you have to make sure everything's fully optimized, have a good, strong funnel to convert people. Because if you're just spending money on paid ads and you don't really have anything set up to convert people, you're just going to be kind of bleeding that money away.
Right, exactly. So can you explain for a person, like imagine that they just, or imagine that they're a normal human being who just doesn't understand SEO. So it's search engine optimization, but how does it actually kind of work, if that's a valid question? Or, if you were explaining to somebody how it was going to how it was going to impact their business and how they could, let's just start with what it is and how it kind of works.
No, so SEO is search engine optimization, which means ranking websites on Google. So when you search on Google, there's ads at the top, but right below the ads is the organic, the free listings. So trying to get your website listed in the free organic results. There's 10 spots on that first page of Google. So trying to get you up there. But nowadays, it's not just websites that appear there. There's images that appear there, videos appear there, maps appear there for your local business. So try to take up as much free real estate as possible on that first page of Google without really spending money on ads.
Yeah, excellent. So how does it happen? Like I feel like sometimes, because first of all, you're talking about the first page of Google. Well, I almost never go to the second page of Google. Right. And I find like often when I go there, this stuff is just isn't that relevant. So I think the first page is obviously where it's at. But when you first start working with someone, how do you help them to figure out what they need to do differently?
So it's not really a one size fits all. Every website could be different. Every business is different. So it's really just going in, looking at their business and trying to figure out what's working and what's not working, and really looking at the competition, because that's what it comes down to is
Yeah.
who's your competition, how much SEO have they done, and how can we do a better job of it. So just trying to figure out what that disconnect is between their website and their competitors and try to fill that void with the strategy, looking, because everything is transparent. I can see what you're doing, you can see what I'm doing. So it's just looking in the right places, at the right things to see what's working and what's not working.
Yeah, so that's an excellent point. I mean, every industry is going to be a little bit different, and it's going to matter in your local market, potentially, what else is happening, right? I mean, I noticed on some of the people, on your website, some of the reviews and stuff are from very local businesses. How does that translate? I mean, is it easier or different from a local person versus somebody who's offering something like on Zoom that they could sell to anybody?
It's a little different for your local business. There's some things that you want to focus on more, trying to get you up in the maps. That's
Yeah.
going to be a big thing. Trying to get you up like on Google Maps, Apple Maps, Yelp, MapQuest, all these maps. The more maps you're in, the higher you're going to rank in Google Maps. So I'm trying to optimize all those. But really, it's for the most part similar strategies. It's just trying to figure out what keywords to place on your website versus if you're a doctor, focus on doctor keywords. If you're whatever it may be. If you're an exterminator, trying to focus on exterminator keywords, but it's just trying to swap out the keywords for whatever you're promoting and trying to just send the right signals to Google.
Yeah. And looking at keywords, I mean, I know there's a bit of a science to that as well, right? So how do I see, like, if I, just as an example, like I'm starting a co-working space here, right? So what would I look for what would I look for? Like, I know that the nearest one is in the next state. It's like, probably just maybe 10 miles away, but what kind of things would I look at to know what's even a valid keyword? I mean, obviously co-working or something like that, but aren't there ways that you can see what Google is looking for when you start to search? Do you know what I'm saying?
So there's tools that will show you how many people search for keywords every single
Mhm.
month, like the Google Keyword Planner. It's a free tool from Google that shows you how many people actually search for that word every single month. So you could see, is this a good keyword? Do people search for it, or does no one search for it? But just because you don't have any competition nearby, there's still websites that rank on that first page of Google. So whoever's on that first page of Google, if it's Yelp, that's your competition. If it's Amazon or Wikipedia, or even though they're not direct competitors, if they're on that first page of Google for your keywords, that is your competition.
Yeah.
That's you have to try to outrank. So searching on Google for your keywords, you can kind of quickly see who's on that first page of Google, but you can also see that blue clickable link. That's called SEO title tag. That's where everyone puts their keywords. So you can quickly find your competition, search for your keywords, see who's on that first page of Google, skip over the ads, but right below the ads, the organic, the free listings. And you could see exactly what they've done with their keywords in that blue clickable link.
Okay. And then, but just copying them, is that going to help if you just use the same keywords, or is there something you can even do to go beyond that?
Well, if that's the keyword, that's the keyword. If you see everyone's using the same word, then that's the keyword that you need to focus on, because
Yeah.
you're going to see if it's a singular, plural, a synonym, some other variation, but you're going to see patterns that everyone's probably going to be using the same word, because if they're on that first page of Google, they're more than likely doing keyword research. They're not just guessing,
Yeah.
just throwing words up there. They're checking it out, which keywords actually have the most search volume, have buyer intent, and are relevant to what they're doing. So you could just quickly look at what they're doing and then think, is this relevant for me? If not, cut it out. But if it's something that seems good, then you should focus on it, because if everyone's using the same words, I mean, there's only so many words you can focus on. So if that's the word that you want to rank for, you need to focus on that keyword, even if everyone else is using it. But then it comes down to how big you are. If you're just a small business, it might be tough to rank for some of these keywords. So you got to find keywords that fit your status as a business. So you're a brand new business, go for less competitive keywords. If you're more established, big corporation, then you can go for the big keywords. But it just depends on where you are in your cycle of your business.
Yeah. So I'm thinking about what you were saying about Yelp. So for example, if you're a restaurant and somebody searches for great Italian restaurants, what's going to come up? Yelp's going to come up and say, hey, the best Italian restaurants in your area, right? But either, like, when I search, I no longer search for just like, my town, an Italian restaurant. Right now I search for what's the best Italian restaurant. And so are keywords getting longer? And does that make sense for us to try to think of what possible phrase that a person would use to find us?
Yeah, keywords are always getting longer. I mean, with the cell phones nowadays, people are just speaking to the phone.
Yeah.
So that's a different type of search, adding sentences, like you said, like voice search, things like that. So it's changed a lot, but you still want to focus on both. You want to try to target keywords and then also try to target those phrases, because the phrases are probably going to have less competition. So it's going to be a little bit easier to get up in there. Not as many people are going to be searching for it, but still you get that intent behind it. So it's called long tail keywords that are two more words. The longer the word, or the longer the keyword, the less people that are be using it, but the more targeted that keyword becomes to what you're actually serving on your website, whatever product or service that you're offering. So long tail keywords are always going to be better than the 1 or 2 word keywords that are really broad general keywords, but just don't really have any intent behind them. They're just kind of general search
Yeah.
phrases.
Yeah. So if you're a smaller business, what you're saying, if you don't have that clout, that you might be better off using some of these longer words that are like, best Italian food in Tingsboro, Massachusetts, or something like that, as opposed to just Italian food, right?
Well, everyone should be doing that, not just small business, but any type of big corporations too. You want to target those, because I think nowadays half the searches, Google's never seen them before. They're all new searches. So It's just, yeah, I think 50% of the searches nowadays are new searches that Google's never seen before. So trying to capture those phrases or long tail keywords with the variations is going to be a good strategy.
Yeah. So and that's another question I have for you. Do you see that this constantly evolving? Are you really like having to, change your game every a few weeks to sort of keep up with what's happening?
No, Google changes pretty much every single day. So they try to make it tough to stay up to date with it, but it keeps it interesting. But they are changing pretty much every day. And then every few weeks or months, they'll have big updates, but most of them don't really affect too much of what I'm doing. It's more to clean up spam and clean up people that have found ways like loopholes, ways to
Yeah.
game the system.
Yeah. So when um, there's no limit, right? Are there like practical limits to how many keywords you could or should have for your business?
About 3 to 5 per page. So if you want to target more keywords, you need to create more pages. The more pages you have, the more keywords you can target, the more opportunities you have to rank for different variations, and better off you're going to be. But it's really about 3 to 5 words max per page. After that, it loses relevancy.
Wow. Okay. So, and I think I see lists of, big blocks of keywords where people are like putting in 30 keywords.
Maybe like 10, 15 years ago that worked, but
It
that
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work now.
Ah,
Mm,
good to
Yeah,
know.
now you'll potentially get in trouble from Google for spamming them, and instead of ranking higher, you might drop down, which we don't want that to happen either.
Exactly. So when you're talking about keywords, are these ones that are like there's some place, or is it just appear in the copy of your actual page?
Both, you put them in the coding and you put them in the copy, but you put in the coding in different places, like a title tag or a meta description or alt tags or header tags or all these really technical places. But content is easy enough for everyone, just add more content to their pages. That one you don't need no coding, and that's going to help out significantly, just adding more text.
Okay, great. So are there I have a question here that I wrote down earlier. And now I'm looking at it. I have no idea what I meant by it. I think what I was trying to say is, are there specific, like, for example, you were talking before about Google Maps. Now, I didn't know about all these other maps, but you're saying that, like, if I get on Apple Maps, that's going to help me on Google Maps, and that all that stuff is going to help, because if you're, especially for local businesses, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And why is that?
Well, because Google just doesn't trust anybody. So anyone could add a listing on Google Maps, and Google's just like, are you really a business? Because we don't want to just send people to your business and find out you don't exist. So
Right.
the way to verify that is if they see that you're on Google Maps, but then you're also on Yelp, Bing Maps, Apple Maps, MapQuest, Yellow Pages, Foursquare, the list goes on and on. The more maps you're in, the more trust Google is going to give to you. They still don't believe you, but they believe you a little bit more just because you're in all these other maps, but they don't trust anybody. They don't believe you are who you say you are, because too many people have tricked Google over the years that they don't want to just rank a website and then find out that you're not really what you say you are, which unfortunately happens all the time.
Yeah. Interesting. So the other question I have is, like, for example, I'm also, in addition to this co-working space, I'm also a real estate agent. So I'm discovering more and more and more places that I can put stuff. Like I used to just put a blog on my website. But now Google is sending me things. Don't you want to update, don't you want to put some content out here for people? I'm like, on my Google Maps page, I have to put content now. So where should we focus our attention if we're like entrepreneurs and we only have so much, hours in the day? Where should we be really focusing our energy?
I would focus where your audience is at. That's number one. You got to figure out who your audience is, where they are, and how to be in front of them. You don't need to be everywhere. You just need to be in front of your audience at the right time, at the right moment. So that's really number one. Just figure out who your audience is. Where are they? What platforms are they using? Are they using social? Are they using whatever, Google, Yelp, wherever they're at, Amazon? But you got to figure out who they are and be in front of them. You don't need to be everywhere.
So, and that's the suggestion for social media as well, because again, as a real estate agent, everyone's like, oh, now we got to get on TikTok. Oh, now we got to get on. I mean, I don't even know what the latest one is. And we're constantly chasing, and obviously our expertise is still back at Facebookville, so
tough. It's tough. There's a lot, but God, just like, is your audience going to be on Facebook looking for your product or service? Sometimes, but they're probably going to be on Google first, and then they're going to check you out on social after. But every business is different. You just got to really think about where your audience is going to first find you.
Yeah, definitely. And do you suggest, I mean, obviously, like once we start working with you, right? And so somebody calls you up, okay, you're going to do the analysis, you're going to look at their competitors, right? You're going to see where you need to focus. And then are you giving people, what happens then? Are you chewing things? Are you giving people a plan? Is this like ongoing? You're going to help me like always take care of my social media, or
Mm,
what's the future?
yeah, it just depends on what you're looking for. Every business is kind of different. So, but it's getting you up there on ranking you for your keywords. And then if you want to keep on Google, then if you want to keep working together, because the way it works is you're on that first page of Google, you're pushing someone off that first page of Google. They're not going to be happy about that. They're going to look at everything that you've done. Just like I can see what you're doing, you can see what I'm doing. So it's kind of a back and forth battle, keeping those spots. If you have competitors, if you don't have any competition, you don't really have to worry about it too much. You could just kind of sit up there and you'll be good to go. But if those keywords are competitive, people are going to be looking at what you've done and trying to outrank you.
Yeah. So then it becomes an ongoing thing. But how much time should I, as a business owner, be expecting to spend on, new content, or, doing little things on social media and things like that? How much, what's realistic?
That one just depends on how much or how competitive it is. So sometimes, especially at the beginning, you have to spend a lot more time building everything up, getting everything all set up,
Yeah.
foundation in place. But over time, it could be a little bit more streamlined, less time needed. But it really just depends on the competition, how competitive it is. And if your competitors are posting or writing 5 blogs a day, then you might have to step it up versus if they're just posting once a year on their blog, not that big of a deal. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just trying to see how competitive this industry is that you're trying to rank in and trying to do a little bit better job than your competition.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I mean, as a real estate agent, right, we could be posting 24/7 because there's always, everybody, all the real estate agents are out there posting all over the place on social media. So maybe you just have to say, oh, I guess I'm going to give up.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. It's just trying to know who your audience is when they're online and just trying to be in front of them. Are they going to be, do they want to see you posting 10 times a day on Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah.
Probably not. Maybe. Yeah. So just got to take a step back, put yourself in the user's point of view and see what would you be receptive to? What's too much or too little?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So let's say that I have something, and this happens, like with the podcast, somebody might like it, somebody might like something, but how do you turn that like, or how do you turn that initial engagement into a client, or into a subscription, or a whatever, how do you help to convert these initial people who are coming to you?
Yeah. To convert people is very tough, but as long as you offer value and just don't be salesy, don't be pushing everything, just offer value. And if they're interested, they're going to want to learn more. But as long as you offer value, offer good insights, tips, advice, things like that, that's going to help out. If you're just talking about why you're the best, nobody cares about that. But if you're giving value, people are going to want to learn more. So just kind of take a step back, put yourself in the user's point of view. If you're going to your website or wherever platform you're on and you just see yourself promoting yourself all the time, is that really going to help build trust up of the person? Probably not. They're just going to think that you're just showcasing yourself versus offering value, letting people know that you are an expert in this field. That's going to be a lot better.
So I do a ton of, and I don't even know if this is good now. So once I started, I was doing consistent posts on my blogs and stuff like that. And now all these people contact me and like, oh, can I write a blog for your website? And I'm like, sure. If I don't have to do it, I'm happy. So, but that's not my voice, but it's still relevant to real estate topics. You know what I mean? So are those things okay? Is that like, do you recommend allowing other people to write material for your website, or?
Yeah, you can let people write for your website. That's perfectly fine as long as they write good content. It's relevant. It's original content. It's not just broken English or gibberish, because sometimes you'll get those
Yeah.
emails and it is not the best content. So it's all about quality, not quantity. So if you have a good writer that can write some good content for you, sure, take it. But if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't flow properly, then I would pass on it, because you don't want to just throw stuff up on your website to throw it up there. In the past, it was really a numbers game. The more you put out, the better. Now it's some more quality content you put out, the better. Not just throwing content out to throw it out there. Just taking a step back and making sure it really is relevant and good quality.
Yeah, and that's I've rewritten every single blog post anyone's ever given me for that exact reason. Because even if they're not, you know, English is their fifth language kind of coming across, that they're still sometimes not, I don't know, they just don't sound like me, or they're not relevant enough. So I always edit them and send it back and say, what do you think of these changes?
Yeah, you got to put the authenticity and credibility there. You can't just throw something up there with your name on it. That's not going to be good. Or you just say this is a guest author, so people
Well, I
know
say
it's not
that too,
good.
but I still don't want it to be illiterate, you know, it still
Yep.
has to be readable. Now, how can you tell like how many people are on your website, engaging with your website, or, you know, how, all right, maybe this is a different question. Maybe this is a better question. Like when you're a business and you're trying to decide, do I need this help, right? Do I need to call Brandon? Do I need to find out what, you know, do I need to have SEO help? They tell us as real estate agents, you know, Google yourself. Well, if I'm looking for myself, then I'm going to find myself, right? But if I'm looking for the best realtor in Boston, then that's a whole different question, right? So
Mhm.
what can we do? You know, what should be our first step in analyzing our own material and finding out where we're at?
Well, you can use like tools like Google Analytics. It's a free tool that'll show you how many people are coming to your website, how many people are there right now, and you can track goals and conversions and leads, sales, whatever you want to track through there. But that's probably going to be the best way to go about it, is using one of those tools. Google Analytics is free, so I would trust that over other tools, but there's plenty of other tracking tools out there that you could utilize, but you got to be tracking. If not, you're really just going blindly at it. You don't know what's working or what's not working, because all the data is there for you to look at. You just have to take advantage of it.
Yeah. So that's people who have already found you, right? How they found you, how long they were at your website, things like that.
Yeah. And then if you're trying to find yourself, whenever you're looking for yourself, just make sure you don't put your company name in the search. Because if you're searching for your company name, that's a branded search. That's like searching for like Target or Walmart or McDonald's. They're always going to rank for their company name. But when you take the word or take the company name out of it, do they still rank? Does McDonald's rank for fast food hamburgers?
Right.
That's really what matters. It's not ranking for fast food McDonald's, because they already know who you are. You want new people. So that's the main thing.
Yeah. So do you think, as far as looking back to, like, if I wanted to figure out where I ranked for people looking for real estate agents, how would I know what is the best thing to be searching for? You know what I mean? Like I said, but like Boston real estate agent or things like that. Like, how do you know what to search for to see where you are? Like, am I on page 57 for Boston real estate agents, which is probably still not that bad because it's about 3 million of us, but but
Yeah,
no one's going to find you on page 57. So
no, got to get you up there a little bit more. But use the Google Keyword Planner. That's a tool that will let you do the keyword research to figure out what keywords people actually search for. That's probably going to be the best, is throw in there the word Boston Realtor, and you'll see a list of other keywords that are related to it. And you'll see how many people search for that keyword every single month. And you can pick and choose the ones that are relevant. The ones that are not relevant, cut them out. But you can find a wealth of information there. They're going to give you hundreds, sometimes thousands of variations off just one word.
that's amazing. Do you think what role do you think that paid ads have in this whole process? Do you think there's something that people should be using? And what's your opinion about paid ads?
No, they work. They are effective. It's just once you stop spending money on ads, you disappear. That's one downside, is you have to keep spending more money and more money and more money to keep yourself afloat. But they do work. It just comes down to your return on your investment. How much money are you spending, or how much money are you making? And if you're losing money, then you got to cut that out. But the paid ads, they do work. It's just knowing what your return is, because sometimes these ads are pretty expensive. So when you search on Google, the ads are at the top. And every time you click on an ad, that company is paying Google cost per click every time, or pay per click. So if you click on an ad, they might pay Google $1 per click. or it could be $5 per click, or $50 per click, or $100 per click. So it adds up very quickly. So it just depends on that return. If you're selling something that's very expensive, then you can afford to spend the $100 per click. But if you're selling t-shirts and your cost per click is $20, it'd be tough, because you expect maybe out of 100 visitors, 1 or 2, maybe 3 leads or sales. But that's where it just comes down to that return, making sure that you're hitting a positive return on your investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So what other kinds of things do you think that new business people need to know if they're going to be, successful and they're going to be findable? I mean, what kinds of things do you teach your clients at the beginning? I mean, obviously not asking you to give us a, a free
Mhm.
course, but I think
Yeah,
you have a free course.
yeah, no, I have some free courses, so if they want to learn more, they could check all those out. But I mean, the biggest thing is just be patient with everything. A lot of people just think that they're going to rank at the top of Google immediately, but it does take time. It's not immediate. SEO or just digital does take time. So be patient with it, keep working at it, and over time you'll see that growth. But don't get discouraged if you don't see that immediate growth, just because it does take time. With digital marketing and SEO is not immediate. So that'd be the biggest thing. But just keep working at it. Don't get discouraged.
Well, that's a good point, because a lot of people might do something, make a change, and then look and say, oh, that didn't help. Now I'm going to do something different. Oh, that didn't help. Now I'm going to do something different. Right. And they're not giving it that time. How much time do you think people need to kind of wait when they make some type of a modification?
That one also kind of varies on the competition. Sometimes you'll see yourself ranking for that keyword within a couple days. Might take a couple weeks, could take months, might take a year sometimes. So it's just really
Wow.
patient, but just making sure that you see some positive momentum. So
Yeah.
making sure that maybe you've moved from page 56 to page 54. A little bit of improvement. It's a step in the right direction. So that's the main thing, is just making sure that everything is going in the right direction and just being patient with it. Because sometimes they'll have the road bumps where you might drop down, might bounce up, but over time, just make sure that you're overall increasing.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is there any sort of advice that you typically give people when they're first starting to work with you? Like, well, how much of what happens when people work with you, how much of what happens is on you and how much is on them? Are there things that they're having to do to make sure that that things are going to work the way, they want them to?
I try to take care of most of it for them, but the sales funnel, that's where they got to make sure that they have a good conversion or a good call to action, some incentive, offering some value, some benefit, because I can't just create value for them. Like I can't write an ebook or a course for them. So they have to have something good to entice people to want to use their product or service. But other than that, with the SEO side of things, I take care of running everything, content, the blogs, articles, press releases,
Oh, wow.
getting up on all like the maps or whatever needs to be done, because you need to focus on the business. You don't need to be doing SEO. You need to focus on what your area of expertise is. For your realtor, focus on real estate. You don't need to learn SEO. Just like maybe I want to buy a house, but I'm not going to try to become a realtor. I mean, maybe I might want to save some money, but it's going to be a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of effort. Whereas it might just be easier just to use a real estate agent, pay that fee. So it just depends on the time. And if you want to learn a new field, go for it. But SEO does kind of become like a full-time job with that,
Yeah,
with building that trust up from Google.
definitely. Definitely. How do you find out that Google's making changes?
Google doesn't really tell you, unfortunately. So usually a bunch of people will see big changes in the search results, and then we'll come together and be like, oh, did you see this happen on Friday, or this happened yesterday, and try to piece it together. But sometimes they'll tell you like when they're going for mobile, making sure that if your website's not mobile friendly,
Right.
Google's like, we're not going to show you on mobile devices.
Yeah.
Or if your page loads slowly, we're going to penalize you. But usually they don't tell you what they're looking for. Only sometimes they'll tell you, like, because they want a good user experience. So they want to make sure your website looks good on mobile. If not,
Right.
that doesn't look good. Like if you're searching on Google on your cell phone and then you click on a website and it doesn't look good, bad user experience. You're gonna be like, Google, what is this? This website is not easy for me to read. You're gonna hit that back button. And if that happens enough, you're gonna be like, I'm going on Bing or Yahoo or DuckDuckGo or
Right.
another search engine. So Google doesn't want that to happen.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point. I mean, is a lot of what you're doing Google specific?
For the most part. I
Yeah.
mean, it translates over to the other search engines, but when you look at the other search engine traffic, it's so tiny compared to Google that it barely brings in any traffic.
Yeah. I have DuckDuckGo on one of my things just because, to try it out and stuff like that. And it's interesting how differently it works. If you do the same search on 3 different search engines, you definitely do get different results.
Yep, very different results.
So, do you have any, well, is there anything that you wish I would have asked you? Anything that I, kind of failed on as far as not, we don't have to look at it as a failure, but is there anything that you had wanted to talk about that I didn't think to ask you or?
No, there's just, I mean, with SEO, there's just so much to do. So it just depends on what your business is. But I do have a lot of classes I've done over the years. So if people want to learn more, they could just go check out all those classes. I put them all up for free online. But
Nice.
yeah, with SEO, there's just a lot of little technical nuances that get a little tricky that I don't want to go too deep into it because it gets really technical. But I do have a lot of videos that show you step by step how to do all that really technical kind of coding things. But
Yeah.
more importantly, is just add more content to your website, more text to the pages on your website. You don't have to go into the coding, but just adding more content is going to really help out a lot.
And putting those kinds of things that you like, if I discover a keyword or an often searched like real estate term, like one time somebody said I read a thing, you should go into quorum, or what's it called? Quorum. It's not quorum.
Yeah, Quora is a question and answer site like Yahoo
Yeah. So
Answers or
go on there and find questions that relate to your thing. So one of the questions was, why is Boston real estate so expensive? And so I wrote a blog called Why is Boston Real Estate So Expensive? And I explained why it is. And I don't know if anybody ever looked at it. Like, how does that kind of stuff, you know, I don't know. The point I was going to make is how do I utilize the keywords that I discover in my blog, for example?
the title is probably the most important. And then just
Okay.
writing a good article or blog post and trying to write more content than your competitors. So going to Google, searching for that keyword, seeing who's on that first page of Google, open up all those websites and see how much content do they have. If everyone's writing 4,000 words, you probably need to write 4,100 words. If everyone's writing 100 words, you need to write 200 words. You just need to write more content than your competitors have, or
Yeah.
more quality content. So
Right.
go into Google, average it all out, see who's on that first page of Google for those keywords, and just write more content than they have, or more quality content.
Yeah. It seems like a lot of work to be able to really succeed at this.
A lot of content marketing. A
So it's
lot of
mostly content. Is that really what it boils down to? It's not like some trick, some like behind the scenes thing.
a little bit of both, but more of content, good quality content. Google loves that.
Okay. Well, that's good news actually, because I feel like that's something I'm happy to do as opposed to like trying to wrangle through some kind of crazy thing.
Mhm.
Um, you are, I was looking at some of the companies on your website that were talking about the things that have happened to them that were good, and thinking about specifically, I was looking at what did he do? I'm trying to think. Not the first guy who's the yoga guy, the next guy. What does he have? A fitness place? He's like I think
The
he has
fitness trainer, yeah.
the fitness company or the fitness trainer or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
So he was able to find himself 3 different ways on
Mhm.
on Google page 1, but it was the third way that was actually his website.
Yep. So trying to rank. So he's a local business. So he's on Yelp. So trying to make sure their Yelp listing ranks and trying to make sure they're on Google Maps and then trying to make sure the website ranks. And then maybe they have like an article on something like New York Times, trying to get that to rank, just trying to take up as much real estate as possible when you're searching for their keywords. So I think it was like swimming lessons, something like that, where I was able to get them up on their Yelp, get their map up there, get their website up there, all without putting their company name in there. So making sure it's those non-branded keywords.
Interesting. Yeah, so that's great. And I'm thinking about Yelp. I mean, how can you get Yelp how can you get Yelp to put you up there?
It's just kind of
Without,
like,
don't you need to have a whole bunch of people commenting and reviewing and,
no, the reviews don't really matter. I mean, it's
oh,
not the number of reviews, it's other variables, keywords and reviews that really help out having good content. Again, it all comes down to content. Yelp says write a 500-word description about yourself. If you only write 200 words, you're missing out on 300 words of space. You got to fill it all out. The more you fill out, the better. So it's just like optimizing your website. Now we're optimizing a Yelp, which we don't have as much control, but you still get control of some things.
Okay. So in a way, in some cases, the platform itself is giving you advice.
Gives you little things to do. They don't tell you what to do, but
If they offer you to do something, then you should do it.
Yep. If they're saying write 500 words, write 500 words. Don't write 400 words.
Yeah. Well, like Google's emailing me and saying, don't you want to upload more content? I'm like, do I? And I guess the answer is yes, right? I should go and say, sure, yes, I want to write another blog post for Google. But it seemed like a funny thing, like, that they actually want me to put content on there for Google Maps.
The more content you put up there, the more content Google has to show to other people. So Google wants to show more content, new content, original content.
So I don't want to take a blog post that I put on my website and put that on Google. I want to do something at least that's paraphrased or different or unique in some way.
I'm not sure what you mean by put on Google.
Well, so like I said, Google, I created a Google profile, you put yourself out on Google.
Google My Business, Google Maps, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Google
so that's
Maps,
different. So
My
you
Business.
can share content from one page to another, but if you're writing an article on your website and then you're writing an article on Google Maps, that becomes duplicate content. So what you want to do is share the link from your website to Google Maps. You don't want to share content because it becomes duplicate content and they'll actually penalize you for that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that was that. Sorry, that was my question is am I doing another blog post? And if I do, it should be unique. I'm not trying to cross post it in different places.
Yeah, definitely cross post it unless you're putting the content natively there. But if you're just cross promoting it, that's the way to go. Better, easier, less work.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's probably so many things in your head that I'm not like tapping into by not asking the right questions, but do you feel like we've got enough, given people enough good content, good information?
Yeah. I think they have a good starting roadmap of what to do and kind of go from there. If they want to learn more, they could check out more classes I've done that are more in depth and more technical.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to put this also into the show notes, but in case people are just wanting to dive in, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
So for everyone listening, I created a special gift for them. If they go to my website, SEOoptimizers.com. It's SEOoptimizers.com/gift. They can find that there along with all my classes. And if they want a consultation, I'm happy to dive in and give them a free consultation on what's working, what's not working, because it's not really one size fits all. Gotta go in and kind of dive in and see what's working for them, what's not working for them, and what the disconnect is from their competition and how to fill that void.
Yeah. And I think that's really the first step everybody should take before you start watching a whole bunch of videos and figuring out for yourself, right? Or thinking you can figure it out for yourself. You want to become an SEO optimization expert. I don't think so, right? Go on, book a time with Brandon. Let him tell you what's good and bad about your website. And then you can decide if you want to be an SEO expert or if you want to just hire one, which just seems so much easier.
Might be the way to do it. So
yeah.
let me know.
Absolutely. All right, great. Well, Brandon, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it. And thank you, listener, for listening. I bet you know somebody who has a website who probably is not on page 1 of Google. So why don't you forward this link to them and let them listen to Brandon and listen to the episode and send them over so that Brandon can help them to get a better ranking, more business, and the end result, more money, more happy life, more helping more people. In the meantime, have a fantastic week.